I was called to diagnose this vehicle. This L200 2020. So the whole issue is anytime you can see now, all the lights are off. Anytime you start it, you see when it runs for a while, the RPM drops. Then all the lights comes on. So I'm now coming to check the actual problem which is causing that. And when it happens that way, the vehicle doesn't pull. You don't get the pull you need. So the vehicle begins to cause problem. So what I'll do now is let me turn it off and turn it back on and scan it. I don't want it to warm up. So now I'm done scanning, and most of all these fault code are due to, so this cam sensor which is stored, which is not an issue, but my main problem is the P0016, which is cam and crank face. So the ABS and other lights are on because the check engine light is on. So let me do erase fault code. Erase all the fault code. And see the ECU fault code that will come up again. So let me go to the ECU to check the fault code in it. So with this one, the two options that I have is I have to check why the fault code is still persisting. So now let me start the vehicle. Yeah, you can see it goes up, then the RPM drops quickly. Normally when it happens that way, it could be due to crank sensor, because the crank signal is what controls the RPM. So it comes up again, that phase out. So now what I'm going to do is I'll scope and see. Normally it could be the P0016. Normally it's a timing fault issue, so it could be that maybe it's a timing issue or it's something else. So now what I'll do is, because it's reporting P0016, I'm going to scope the timing. So I'll bring my other auto scan tool and set up my auto scope to check the waveform. Then I'll know what to do next. So now I'm done with the connection. So I've connected my cam sensor and my crank sensor. So now the next thing I have to do is I have to take the signal and compare them and see if the timing is off. So now what I'll do is I'll erase the fault code. Let me go back and erase the fault code. Hey, my VCI is connected. Why I'm not able to communicate? I'm trying to erase it and see. So now what I have to do is to scan it. So let me use this to set up my scope. So I'm using the auto scope. Let me turn it on. Oh, no network. Let me connect to internet for this device. So both of them are on the same scale. So now what I'll do next is I'll crank the vehicle and see the waveform that I'll be getting. So you see that now it is working, and you can see it has gone down. So what I can do is, let me drag the cam sensor up, and you can see it is still moving. So at this point I can stop it and go back and see why it stopped. because from this, if there is anything different, you would have seen it here. So let me keep going back. Okay, this is when it was not running, this is when it started running. So it ran for some few seconds, then it went off. So at this point I can turn off the engine. This is the information I need. So I can zoom in. Oh no. Okay, let me reduce this and bring it up here. Then let me touch on this also and bring it up and reduce it a bit. Then now I can zoom in to see if there is any, to see the kind of noise that I'll be having. So with this one, from this point to this point, then to this point, is one complete cycle. That's when the cam has turned a full cycle. So if you can see, this shows that the crank has turned one cycle and the second cycle, which will make it 720, sorry. And that means that the cam sensor has turned to a full cycle. So I can bring this at this point using the cam, and using the cam I can put one here, then drag another one, then place it here at the end because of where it started. So at the end, no, so it should be here. Yes, here rather. Okay, so if you can see, I have to. You can see I have to. So now what I'll do is, I don't want to close this because if I close it, my marks will go off. So now what I'll do is, I'll go and compare. I'm coming to compare this waveform with the known good waveform and see if I'm having any issue with the timing. If I'm not having any issue with the timing, I'll speak to the customer about one or two things, then I'll know what to do next. Maybe I'll let him change his oil, and let's hope and see if the problem will not persist again. So for now, let me check the timing first, and if you can see, I have one complete cycle. So I start from this, which is the falling, then I end at this point. So this is one complete cycle for the cam sensor, and it's two complete cycle for the crank sensor. So let me bring a known good waveform so that we compare them together. So after long diagnosis, still on it now, I've connected it to my PC to see the waveform itself. But here is a catch in the system, so I'll try to see why it's behaving that way. You see, when you check on the blue line, which is the cam sensor, and the orange is the crank sensor. So when you check on the line, you can see the cam sensor is not going to zero at all. The cam sensor is supposed to be on the 0 mark, and it's not on the 0 mark. You can see, if you measure, it looks like it's 1 volt ahead. So I'm thinking that's the cause, because when you check the timing, you can see it is on the mark. When you check the timing, it is on the mark. Let me pause it. So when you pause it, when you check the timing, you can see I'm having it flash with the falling of this. And I checked Rockies, is it Rockies? So I checked this site for the timing, and you can see at the falling side, which is this point, you can see that they are having it on the same mark here. Let me zoom it in a bit. Let me zoom it in a bit. You can see that they are having it on the same mark. But my problem is, with the cam sensor, it is not dropping to 0. So let me check this and see if this one drops to 0. And this is the vehicle, and this is the engine I am having. So for my diagnosis, what I've seen so far is my sensor is not dropping to 0, and I can't tell why my sensor is not dropping to 0. And I have to get the exact vehicle so that I'll be able I have to get the exact vehicle so that I'll be able to know why mine is not dropping to zero. So that's the reason why I merge the two. If you can see, my crank is dropping to zero, but my cam is not dropping to zero perfectly. It's like it's on a voltage, it's like it's on a one volt scale. So I don't know why. Maybe it's for my scope. So I'll change my channel and see if it's still persisting. Then I'll assume maybe my fault is from that side. But before that, let me check from the other side also and see if my problem is from me myself. Or so, because I'm not having the exact vehicle. If I have a similar vehicle, that one I can check it and know why my cam is not dropping to zero. Or maybe that could be what these vehicles do have. But for now, I can't say much about it. If anything, I have to find the exact vehicle and take a non-good waveform from it. Then I can justify and know, or maybe my sensor is not dropping to zero as it should be. So instead of it dropping to zero, it's measuring a voltage, even though the cam is running. So what I'll do now is I'll try and see if I can find for another known good. Although I'm getting this known good, knowing that my timing is on point. Now my problem is the sensor dropping to zero. The reason why I'm concerned about it is this a digital a Hall effect sensor, and normally Hall effect sensors, they are from 0 to 5 volts, 0 to 5 volts, so it's either on or it is off. So now that if it has to be off, then that means it has to be on zero mark, and if it has to be on, then that means it has to be on 4.9 or 5 volts mark. But mine is below that, and that's where my concern is. So if you check my waveform, you can see it clearly from this side. So with this, I think I have to do further research about it and know why it is behaving that way. But for now that I don't have the exact known good with the measurements in it to identify, I have to continue my research. So I'll do that and see the actual problem. If it is because it's not dropping to zero that's causing my problem, then I know what to do from there. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. So with this one, that now the key is not on, you can see everything is at zero, which is showing ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the key on and see. The moment I turn the key on, some of them should move to power. Some of them, it's either both of them will move above or both of them will be at the same level. So now that I've selected, all of them are on zero because because the key is not on. So I'll turn the key on and come and check. So if you can see, now that the key is on, you can see that I'm having the violet one, which is D, on almost 1 volt. So I think it's either the sensor issue or something, because if I try to crank the engine so that the cam sensor comes down, let me go to, let's say, 1 second per division, yeah, and let me crank the vehicle and come back. So now that I crank the vehicle just to see if my voltage is going to drop to zero, it is still not dropping to zero. So I just cranked it to see if it is going to drop to zero, and it is still not dropping to zero. But if you check, this one drops to zero. So let me bring to my 0 point. Okay, So let me set my scope. Okay, so now I've set all my lines on the 0 point. So you can see if I bring in a rule here, you can see my rule. Although I'm trying to start the vehicle or I'm trying to see if the vehicle is running, you can see my crank signal is almost at 0 and my cam signal is not dropping to 0. That's my problem. Let me see the voltage at which my cam signal is dropping to. So if you can see, so it's measuring 1 volt, and you can see I'm measuring almost 1 volt on it, on my my cam signal. So I'm suspecting the sensor is faulty. If not, then I have to do one test. The only test I can do is I have to turn my scope running, then I'll ground it. So now that my scope is running, the only thing I can do is to ground it. So I have this test light here, which I'm going to use to ground the signal line to 0 and see. So if you can see from my scope capturing, this is when I'm trying to ground it to 0. So it's supposed to be on 0, but I don't know why it is not on 0. So what I'm going to do now is I have to start the vehicle and see what I'm going to get. So that's the next thing I'm doing now. So let me play it and start the vehicle. So now I'm having a little bit issue. Let's capture this first. Is because I was having difficult starting because I've grounded the sensor and it's not able to send signal. That's why I'm having that issue. So if you can see my, if I bring it down, you can see that there was nothing going on because I grounded the sensor. But now let me turn it on. Let me disconnect my ground from it. Yeah, now that I've disconnected my ground, let me go to